Okay.
So Bob and I are here. I'll just walk through a little bit of an update and then turn it over to Bob. Let me find the share button. So starting with Slack, this is um, my board that would be mounted vertically. It's sitting here on a kitchen chair at the moment, and I've just been working on getting the placement of my components nailed down. So at the moment, I've got these two GPSs mounted, an IBT2 motor controller. This is the Raspberry Pi. This is a controller for a linear actuator, and this is a teensy. Um, I've updated that a little bit. In this photo, I've also put this 4 relay board on here. Previously, I had used the relay one for the e-stop and the second one having to do with the transmission control that I won't need. So I definitely need help or some relay functionality for the e-stop. But the other three at the moment are sort of open. This honking looking thing, uh, I'll stop sharing for a second and show you what that looks like in real life is this, call it a solenoid, or I think it's advertised as a connector, a high voltage
Okay.
connector. You put 12 volts on that line, and whatever connected to those two posts are going to have
Oh, connection.
they're
Okay.
going to have a connection. And it takes, I saw one YouTube video that said it consumes about 2 watts of power. Uh, but what I was thinking of using this for is to take my or for the e-stop, the safety switch on the seat goes to ground. If it goes to ground, then I think they call it a magneto. The magneto stops the engine. So I previously didn't use something like this, and I just used that relay. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I blew out my coil and needed to
Oh,
replace the coil. And I'm hoping if I have something like this big relay, I'll avoid doing that again, even though it's just a hypothesis. That's what I actually did.
no. Okay.
So anyway, I'm still debating on exactly where that big,
Yeah,
call it a relay, call it a connector, call it a solenoid, where that will sit. I don't know if I want to put that on
sure.
this board or not, but
What does it take to energize it?
12 volts.
Okay.
So that you put, or 9 to 36 volts, I think is what the data sheet says, but
Okay.
I would put 12 volts on that.
So you connect that through a smaller relay?
That's what,
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
yes,
Okay.
to answer your question. And I was thinking, you know,
Sure.
one of these. So the e-stop comes in from a radio that's not here yet.
Huh.
I need to get my radio mounted on this as well. It's just
Oh,
one of my pending items.
yep.
And I've got one, two, three of my USB ports, and I was going to put a camera on here. So I'll have all 4 of my ports. So if I have some other idea about using a USB port on this Raspberry Pi, I'll be out of ports that need to put a USB hub on there. But
Yeah.
at the moment, I'm getting by with, I haven't put that on there. Haven't put that on there yet.
So the USB hub, is that going to be a powered one or passive?
I have used a powered one in the past, so yes, it would be a powered one. Uh,
Okay.
I'd take 12 volts off the main power
Oh,
distribution block here and
okay.
I have a USB hub that's 12 powered by 12 volts.
Okay.
So I need to do some wiring. And so, for example, on my linear actuator, these wires are hardwired in at the moment. The other thing that I was going to work on is hooking those up to these
Oh, Molex.
Molex connectors. By officially, they'll take a 14 gauge wire to 22 gauge, I think. And so that
Okay.
should be plenty powerful enough for
Yeah.
taking, say, 5 amps into that linear actuator. So I got that. And the only other thing I was going to mention is Terry had reminded me when he was talking about 3D printing that you could print multiple copies of things at one time. And I had not had much luck at that. You say a year ago was probably the last time I tried it. I was using different software to produce the 3D model G-code.
Okay.
And I'm using Fusion 360 to do what's called slicing. And so I tried to do multiple, these are the standoffs,
Oh,
and it printed nicely. So yeah, that was trying that again. Made it a little bit faster to print these purple things
yeah.
that are my standoffs for my board.
Okay.
So that's what's going on with me right now. The next step is to get my Molex connectors and wiring, sort of get my relay wired in a little bit to the teensy, and put my radio. I'm thinking the radio will sit up here,
Yeah.
and work on my radio control.
Okay.
So
So is that board going to stand up vertically then?
yes, so this whole, um,
Will rotate 90 degrees.
correct. So
Ah,
this will
okay.
be the top, this will be
Yep.
the bottom, and it'll, sit vertically lengthwise on the lawn tractor.
Ah, okay. Are you concerned about any vibration?
Um, I mean, obviously there is a ton of vibration. I haven't knowingly had a problem with that up to this point, in the, call it version 0 of my electronics board.
Okay.
But that's always something to look out for.
Okay.
I do put stress relief on the wires and don't leave any wires loose,
Oh,
to try to avoid, connections coming loose.
yeah.
That's probably the only knowing precautionary step that I've taken, is to make sure that all the wires have some sort of stress relief on
Oh,
them.
okay. And then for a long wire, you use hot glue to hold them down?
Well, yes, if need be. I did that with, am I still sharing? I don't know if I'm sharing, not sharing. As a temporary measure, I put hot glue on these two
Oh,
power cords. I haven't put these down yet. I don't know if I got a picture of it or not. This is my on-off switch or master power switch.
oh,
This could come out, and there's a screw hole there that I mount that on to keep it coming down. And I use these sort of things to mount the wires when I get a little bit closer to putting them
yeah,
in some sort of permanent
sure.
fixture. At the moment, this is the only wire that I really fixed. But I would not let, like these USB cables dangle. I would
Yeah.
I would put those down so there's some sort of stress relief on them.
Okay.
And getting the right length of USB cables helps a lot too. So
Yeah.
this one is dangling over the side and is unnecessarily long. I got a really short one for this GPS, and I've got this one for the Teensy, which is a nice length. So minimizing the length on these things helps with that as well.
Nice.
That's what's going on with me.
Okay. I'm having to make some changes as always. I'll disconnect power and then move the iPad around so you can see what's going on. I hope this works. Um, down below, there was a half-inch piece of wood holding the whiteboard up, but the board was rubbing on the wheel. So I have to change those out and use these 1-inch pieces to hold it up off of the chassis and position them so that they still fit on the Barbie Jeep. The other thing I encountered was that my motor controller shorted out. Let's see if I can, that green thing right there. The one on your left shorted out, so the motor wheel is always turning, and sometimes it kicks into really high current or high speed. So I'm reluctant to turn the 12-volt power on, even though it does work. Next thing, I'll turn on the other two power sources. And let's see if I can see this. So the one on your left, let's see, that would be
The yellow wire is on our left.
that one over there. That provides 9.5 volts over to the VEX controller. And then that outputs pulse width modulation to the motor controller. And that gets 9 volts. I don't know if you can see that. And I should be taking stills, but okay. And then I've got hooked up the power for the Raspberry Pi at 5.0 and running up power up to the upper deck. Then I've got power to the Pi, and for some reason I don't see the fan turning. I'll have to figure that out. I'll probably have a loose connection, but that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm having to make a laundry list of things I have to buy. One of them will be a new motor controller, but I think in the next week or 2 weeks, I'll hook up a camera to the Pi and see if I can get that working just in a generic mode, nothing fancy, just to see if it works. And then eventually get over to the AprilTags idea. So that's about where I'm at. With the new house and everything, there's a lot of stuff, little bits and pieces, hanging pictures, and a lot of time consuming stuff. And then, of course, there's always things you have to buy, like towel racks, and that eats up the cash real quick. So, but I'm strictly on a very short shoestring operation for robotics.
Understandable. Terry or Jeff, did you want to go?
I can go.
Oh,
I
there
really
he is.
haven't. I really haven't done much with my robot in the last month. I've been kind of busy with the robotics team and taking a new position where I work, so that's been distracting. Um, Still trying to get my quadrature encoder to work. Um, Getting the signals and the right resistors that I need for that. Um, I am starting to train my sixth grade girls on OnShape. That's been they've been surprisingly attentive, so that was good. Our first project, the first thing that they're going to try and CAD up and then 3D print is going to be a cable chain channel type thing that will allow us to have a moving arm and have the cable protected while it's the arm is extending instead of just having the cable dangle like we've had in the past.
So that's like a shroud around a metal chain.
Right. Well, not a metal chain. It's a plastic channel basically that's bendable, easily bendable in 2 dimensions. That was one link of the chain that I showed.
Oh, you're 3D printing a chain.
Yeah.
Neat.
Nice.
And they pressure fit together. There's these little, I don't know if you can see it well enough, but there's a
Yeah.
little indentation, and then there's a matching indentation in here so that it can only go up a certain angle so that it protects the cable or wires that would be going inside here from getting crimped or
Okay.
kinked or whatever.
So
And
kind of like what they do on CNC machines.
Yep.
Okay.
And most 3D printers have something of the sort too.
Good.
And it certainly will make the kids' robot look more professional as long as they don't use a bright color like pink.
Yeah.
It was the filament that I had loaded, and for the purposes it worked.
I was thinking sixth grade girls. It's a perfect color.
Yeah.
Well, the robot itself, the team colors are kind of a light blue and a light gray. So that's what we will probably be using.
Okay.
But here's like 2 of them, and you can kind of see I've now increased the angle that it can go.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of an experiment. Plus, it has a little catch here that covers it so that if you've got like a big connector on one end, you don't have to try and run it through. You can just take this cover off, lay the wire down, put this in on top of it, and it just snaps in. So it'll hold the wire then.
So
Again,
wires, are that signals for servos or what?
Yeah, that's going to be one case of it. We will also potentially be putting what's called a LIMELIGHT, which is a camera with a built-in processor. It's got the same processor, I believe, as a Raspberry Pi. so he can do all of the object recognition and just pass back the pipeline of, okay, here's the, if we've got a April tag running, that when it sees the April tag, it'll just say, okay, here's the ID, here's the XYZ, and so forth.
Okay, so with the April tags, you can get a 3-dimensional frame.
Yep.
Will you be able to see that on your outside of that camera?
If we turn that pipeline on, yes.
Oh, okay.
But during debugging, I'm sure we'll want to have that.
Okay.
But during the competition, we don't really care about seeing it per se, but rather getting the location information.
Oh,
Saying, okay, I've got an April tag, number 15, for example, and it's X number of degrees to the left. It's 6 degrees up, and the distance is 2 meters.
okay. So is the camera going to be in a fixed position or on a turret?
It will be on a fixed position on a moving arm.
Oh, okay. So,
I kind of mix things because we're actually planning on having 2 cameras. One will be in a fixed position on the robot,
yeah.
and that will be our April tag.
Oh, okay.
We'll have a second limelight that will be used for object recognition for game components, where we're looking for a blue sample or a red sample and identifying what its location relative to the arm is and what its orientation is, so that we can move a wrist to be able to accurately pick it up.
So all of this, will this be remote controlled or autonomous?
Both. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be ambiguous. It will be autonomous, but it will be the movement of the robot will be remote controlled. And when they get it to a certain point, they'll push a button that puts it into what we call semi-autonomous, where it says, okay, I need to find me the closest red sample.
Okay.
And it'll, if there's a red sample in its field of view, it will find the one that's the closest to where the gripper is, move the gripper as is needed, both X, Y, and orientation, and then pick it up.
Oh, okay.
And then it kind of returns control back to the driver once it's picked it up for them to do something with it.
Okay. So then the driver takes it to the robot and the object to a destination and deposit it.
Right.
Okay. Ah. So how is it that you chose that particular camera?
It's one of 2 that is sanctioned by the First Robotics organization.
Okay.
They have a lot. They have certain rules about what you can use on your robots.
Oh,
And this is a device that has been tested. It's considered safe. It kind of gives all teams somewhat of a level playing field,
okay.
if they choose to add it.
Okay. Yeah, just posted.
Oh, the limelight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which version are you using? They seem to have like 4 different versions of this.
Right. I believe our league is allowed to only use the 3A, which is like $189. There's a higher level league that has bigger robots, bigger budgets. That's like $400, and it's got more capabilities. I think it's got a stronger processor. But you can tell it's like, okay, it's got some built-in programming for handling April tags, and it knows which April tags are being used in the FTC game, and so it can narrow down which ones are being it's looking for, and be able to give you a field position rather than a relative position.
How many April tags do you need in the field of view?
One.
Oh,
With one tag being within 12 feet of you, if you've got a clear view of it, as in there's nothing obstructing any portion of the tag,
mhm.
supposedly the accuracy is 4 centimeters.
Okay. Now, if I had, say, a small lawn, which I do have, that it's going to be rather rectangular, maybe 20 feet by 50 feet. So I would have to put my April tags along the wall of the house or the edge of the field or at the end of the field.
You would want to be able to see it from any place on the lawn. You'd want to be able to make sure that at least one is visible.
Okay. So once I get it visible, can I program a path to mow the grass then?
What it would return to you is basically your pitch, your yaw, and your the distance to the center,
Okay.
and then your own program would need to know, okay, where is
Oh,
it at? Where does that mean I'm relative to the field?
okay.
And then from there you could plot a path, but it would
Uh,
not. All it does is it'll tell you X, Y, Z distance.
yeah. And that's from the camera lens to the April tag.
Yes.
Okay. So if you put it on a turret, it would complicate it. So you'd have to come up with the diameter of the rotation and
Yep.
all that stuff. Ugh. Okay.
Which
Yeah.
which in the case of this robot competition, there are 6 April tags on the walls of the field.
Okay.
And so the expectation is that you should be able to see one of the tags. And if you can't, then if you rotate, then you should be able to see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you'd have to rotate
The whole
your whole
robot, yeah.
field. Yeah. Okay.
Keep in
Okay.
mind, these are middle school and high schoolers.
Yeah.
So I was doing CAD stuff last week with them, and I said tangent, and one of the girls goes, "What's a tangent?"
Oh, ouch.
Now the other two were in advanced math.
Okay.
One is our programmer, one is the girl who wants to be our lead CAD person, and the third was our lead builder. She's great using her hands and mechanical things,
Yeah.
but math is not her forte.
Okay.
And so she's in regular 6th grade math, and they're not doing advanced geometry yet.
Uh-oh.
But she thought it was really cool when I had already drawn a circle and I drew a line some distance away, and I said, okay, I want to make this line tangent to this circle, and poof, it moves the line.
Oh, nice.
Which is a function of OnShape.
Okay.
And again, you're on for Bob, because he was asking earlier before we're recording questions around designing. Your OnShape license, you've got a free license, right?
Right. It's a free license, and the stipulation is anything you draw is public.
Oh, okay.
Which, for me, I don't care. I'm not making anything to be patented, so I'm not trying to keep anything super top secret. But it also means that there's a huge library that I can look at.
Oh, so pick and choose.
It's like, oh, someone else did something similar to what I'm wanting. How did they do that?
Okay. Did you download that software from the App Store, or?
No. It is a cloud-based CAD system.
Oh,
Go to onshape.com and you can register for a free. I'm not going to say it's it doesn't have all of the features, but it's got 99% of them.
oh, okay. OnShape. Okay.
Yes. There's some electronic add-ons that they've added that are not part of the free. And then there's some computer-aided manufacturing that isn't part of the free license.
Okay. Well, how does the electronics fit in with that?
Well, if you want to create a board
Oh,
and then put it onto your robot
mhm.
from the electronics package, you can download all of the 3D parts and have it's like a Eagle CAD.
Okay.
And then be able to take that board and put it on your robot. And when you're looking at your robot, you see all of the different components.
Okay.
They have added a cable routing feature that is on the free version, and I'm starting to use that.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a everything that the company uses to generate all the CAD. They've exposed that language in something they call feature scripts, so that you can write your own feature scripts to enhance their program.
Okay. Now, this is a wild ass guess, but could it lay out pathways to components, electrical pathways, like on a circuit board?
Well, I don't know if their electronic module does that or not.
Okay.
Because it's not part of the free.
Oh, sure.
And so far, I'm not doing anything that complex.
Okay.
So that, I mean, the one board that I created had three resistors and 3 jacks on it.
Okay.
So I was able to, I created the jack and then put 3 copies of it. I created a breadboard with all the little dots. Then I created a what looks like a resistor, and then I can connect the 3 with a wire.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I'm just starting to work with now using where I've got my photo interrupter as a component in my quadrature encoder, and now wanting to do the cable routing from that optical interrupter to the board that will then connect to my itsy bitsy that'll be at another place on the
Robot.
component.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if you saw if you were on any of the earlier ones, but this is
Oh, your
for
snow machine.
for my snow thrower. And then this, all of this was designed in OnShape.
That must have taken quite a few spools.
No, actually, it didn't. It took well, there's the orange stuff. I finally finished the first spool.
Now, how many feet is that?
Um, 1 kilogram. I don't know how many feet.
Oh, okay. Kilogram, 2.2. Wow. That's a lot of plastic.
Yep. But I also I had some mess ups where while it was printing something, it got offset, and
Oh,
it's like, oops, it's not foolproof, but you just kind of keep an eye on it, and it works pretty well.
yeah, it looks pretty good. Sky's the limit now, right?
Yep. Just takes time and money.
Yeah.
And it's right now it's the time that's the constraint.
Yeah, with the new job and everything.
The new job and the mentoring of this robotics team. They went to state
Nice.
and placed in the top half, which for a rookie team is
Yeah.
very nice. They made it to the finals, and then they're wanting to learn a lot because like the software is written in a language called Block, which was a carryover from their Lego league,
Oh.
and is very graphical and
Oh, sure.
not real powerful.
Okay.
And so the programming team this summer, or they're wanting to learn Java prior to the start of the next season, which is in September.
So why Java?
Java is powerful enough and has the FTC, the first, has written a bunch of libraries for controlling the motors and so forth,
Okay.
so that it takes a lot of the low level processing that you would need to do. It's already done.
Oh, good. Then they've just got the upper theoretical stuff to work out.
Right.
Interesting.
And that way you can also do multi-threading. And I don't know, do you know Bob Odegaard
No, I
from the
don't.
robotics team or the robotics club?
No, I'm kind of isolated from robotics people.
Well, he was on the Twin Cities robotics group for 30 years,
Oh,
but he's another one of the mentors on our team.
okay.
And he's our software guru. So we're doing localization. He's gonna be teaching them how to use the LIMELIGHT, both from the AprilTag standpoint and from the object recognition.
Okay.
I'm going to be teaching them the CAD team, and there's three of them there. One's from the software team also. She's on everything, and then the other one is one of the builders. So we kind of got those three from a CAD and 3D printing standpoint. This is this family's second team. Their first team, which all graduated from high school in 2020, they had 53 3D printed parts on their robot.
Wow.
And they
How
placed
big a
second
team?
in state.
How big a team was that then?
That was officially there were 7 members on the team. Really, from a practical standpoint, there were 4.
Oh, 4 doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah. We had 5 seniors. One of them was sick part of the year, so she didn't contribute a lot other than the engineering notebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had our software guy who turned down MIT for software engineering to go to the University of Minnesota. He graduated and is now working at Garmin. Our CAD 3D printing guy, he went to Michigan Tech, just graduated with a robotics engineering degree. And even though he just graduated, he already had 3 offers back in December.
Oh my gosh. You got some talent there.
Oh, we had some. It was a fun team, and their senior year, we were basically there to keep them from doing anything too stupid. Or to answer questions when they would come to us. But usually they would go to Google first.
Oh.
And the software guy had, again, in fact, he's the one who coined this term semi-autonomous, where the game that year you had to pick up discs that were about this big, and you could have 3 of them on the robot at a time, and you had to put them into a basket.
Okay.
But you could throw them into a basket. So they developed the thrower, and through the use of another object orientation tool, they were able to know within 2 centimeters where they were. And it would spin up based on the weight of this and the distance and the angle, spin up to, he had a 95% accuracy of hitting the high basket for the most points.
Yikes. High school kids.
Yeah. This guy was, the software guy was a genius. But anyway, I'll get off that soapbox.
No, well, I love the updates personally.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Imagine 6th grade girls doing all that. That's awesome.
Well, we've got 5 6th grade girls, a 6th grade boy, who 3 of them like, and a 9th grade boy, which is the only reason we were able to be in this league, because it's supposed to be only 7th through 12th graders.
Man.
But now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay.
Anything you want to share, Jeff? Bob was interested in your moving update.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I just posted something in the chat. If you happen to have one of those Oak D cameras that what was that, on Kickstarter or something, they put those out. And I think there's an Oak D and an Oak D Lite, and I'm not sure. I just posted a search so you can go pull up that search and read all about this stuff. So if you happen to have one of those cameras, you might be able to just load up this software and see the AprilTags with that board too. So,
oh, interesting.
Oh, I'm not saying that there aren't others. That's what I've been exposed to.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just saying people might have these laying around already because they had this Kickstarter. A bunch of people bought them and threw them in their box, just like I did. And so And there's probably, yeah, you can do it. I think with just direct software too. I think you just use a web camera and hook it up to your
Right.
computer, wherever it happens to be, and run software to do that. So anyway, I just thought of that, so I posted that.
Good,
Um,
thanks.
so as far as my moving progress, I'm still trying to just take everything out of the garage and bring in the house. At which point I'll sort through it and either decide to keep it or throw it right in the trash or put it in a box, take it to the thrift store. So that's what I'm doing on that. And I brought all my metal shelves in and put those. I think I got three of them in the living room, one of them in the bedroom. And another thing, I think yesterday, maybe it was the day before, I looked in the trash and somebody threw away a table that's like 18 inches tall and maybe 12 inches deep. And it's fairly beefy. So I don't know if it was meant to put a TV on. But anyway, I want to take the TV off what was my video table. So when I do these meetings, I had that set up. And when I moved in here, I said, okay, I'll put my TV on that. So I put that there. And then I had this bigger table that's it's one of those folding tables. It's a plastic table that has the legs on it. It was just a piece of plywood on top I had my all my toolboxes on that, my drill press on that in the old place. And here, that's what I'm using for my video table right now. And so I'm going to play musical chairs with tables. So I'm going to have musical tables moving around the house. And so I think I'll take the bigger one and put it back in my bedroom and make a workshop back there. And then the one that was my video table will become my video table again in my so-called kitchen, which is the extension of, or my dining room, which is basically like a 10-foot extension on my kitchen. So that kind of like Bob's little cutout area where he's going to do his stuff. I basically got stuff piled in there right now. And then hopefully the TV will work on that new table that I got. So yeah, just things like that. I brought the shelves in and put them in the living room, took all my little boxes and put on there, basically just get everything out of the way so I don't have to look at it and say, is this where I really want stuff? So that's kind of how that's going to go. And as people say, as I get time, I'll try to do these things.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if I found anything else really interesting while I was digging, but I probably did, but I haven't really done anything with it yet. That's kind of how my life's going at the moment. Maybe that's all I got to say at this point.
Any more before I stop recording?
You ran off to get something. Did you grab a spool of filament that you were going to check the length on it?
Man, you're like psychic. What is you? Who are you, Kreskin?
Yeah.
PLA?
It's PLA. Let me turn off my background so you can see my fuzzy. But I'm sorry to report, Bob, there is no
length.
no length on. This happens to be PLA. It happens to be from this company called Catchbox, and I suspect if you do back to math, if you do the math, just like Terry said, it's 1 kilo and 1.7 millimeter in diameter. So somebody on the web is probably will tell you how many feet that is.
And probably if you just go out on the search engine and say what you got, those numbers he just rattled off, where you need the diameter and the weight, and maybe that's all you need. Just go out and say how long is this? How many feet on a spool or something? Type that in, and it'd probably come back and tell you that.
By the way, Terry, if you're listening, if you've got PETG that you want to get rid of, I'll gladly buy that from you. I don't need it at the moment, but
I don't want to get rid of it, but don't
throw it out in frustration is what is really.
Oh
the
no,
message.
no. Don't get rid of anything, but which my workshop kind of looks like. But our head coach for the team is looking at buying a new bamboo H2O printer for $2,500.
Oof.
Yikes.
That's a commitment.
But what's funny is that for an extra $600, you can add a 40-watt laser and do burning or cutting.
So how do you arrange for fundraising?
The kids and this head coach who's really, really good at it, of getting sponsors, and then we'll put kind of like the NASCAR, you
Yeah.
see all of the label. We have the labels on our shirts and on our
Okay.
and on our robot. We've plus there's a lot of grants for like first year teams.
Oh,
And so we ended up getting I think a total in $3,000 in grants.
yikes.
Plus we had all of the hardware that the old team had.
Oh.
And he already had 2 3D printers, one of which is sitting about 6 feet from me. I've got his old printer.
The hand-me-downs.
Yeah. And I just haven't been able to get a combination of time and interest in getting the PETG to print reliably.
Okay.
So I fell back to the PLA, which probably I'm about 80 to 90% of what I print is usable. So
I just wanted to mention quickly, because it's an homage to you, that I printed 4 parts at the same time, and I didn't get too much stringing. So the slicer in Fusion 360 really is substantially better than the way I did it before. So
what slicer were you using before?
Prusa has, I mean, the printer is a Prusa, Prusa,
Yep.
and it has a slicer too. And so I was just using that slicer, but it is, all manual. It didn't come with any presets, so you had to sort of figure it all out. And
Have you looked at Cura?
I've used Cura before, and I've only stopped using it because in Fusion 360 they let you design and go right to 3D printing inside the tool. So that's just what I've tried. But
Okay.
this was the first time that I ever got multiple parts to print cleanly using Fusion 360 slicers. So I just wanted to mention that. So that's you inspired me to try that again.
One of the things I liked about Cura is that it's got an API into OnShape. So I don't have to export and then import into the slicer.
Nice.
It'll just connect up, and I find what part or parts, put them on the bed. I can then duplicate it, but it also has a huge library of printers and profiles.
Nice.
For even in some cases by color, because different colors of the same manufacturer's filament need slightly different settings.
How frustrating would it be to figure that out on your own?
It's like black is different than orange from a temperature standpoint. And it's mainly temperature that's going to be different.
Interesting. Okay, recording's coming off.